for my guest today, Christopher Melcher, attorney at law. So happy to have him back. We're going to talk about this case. I think we're live now. Sorry, I spoke too soon. We're live. So happy to be here. We're going a little early tonight. I'm going to be hanging with you, talking about a lot of these updates regarding the Gabby Petito case, the hunt for Brian Laundrie, and so excited to have Christopher Melcher in the building to answer our questions, get a legal perspective on this. Got so much to talk about. Thank you guys so much for joining. We start in a few.
We're pretty safe.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and we are live for a special show tonight. Sorry, we're not going to be live tonight. I have a screening and some things going on, but I thought let's break down a lot of the updates that we have on this very it's case that is wrapping the nation, the world, really. I have to take a moment of silence for Gabby Petito. It looks like while we're still waiting for the autopsy results to come in, we have lost her. But right now, the hunt for Brian Laundrie is still going, and that's why we're still really reporting on this, trying to figure out what happened. But a tragic loss that we are still mourning the loss of Gabby. My heart goes out to her and her family. But I want to keep reporting on this story so we can find who I believe is a monster, this Brian Laundrie. There's too much against him. We're going to talk a lot about it. And I'm so happy to have an expert here, attorney at law himself. Christopher Melcher is back. Okay, Christopher, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Andy. And I've been following this story too, and it's heartbreaking what happened, and there's a lot of legal issues to unpack here about it. Yeah, I'm excited because there's a lot of experts and people out there talking, but I have yet to hear some real good legal advice. So I'm glad we could finally get you on the stream tonight. Guys, if you have legal questions, you can ask Christopher. I see a lot of you joining. Thanks so much for watching. The pinned comment is the best way to sort of interrupt and get your comments in there. I will go through everything you send over, but I got some questions for myself I want to deal with Christopher here first. All right, so we have a lot to unpack. Christopher's here for the beginning part of the show. I'll be hanging with you. There's a lot more to go through. There's some evidence, apparently footage of Brian from deer cams. We got the mystery note. I got a lot I'm going to break down with you tonight. There's a lot to go through, but first, while Christopher's here, I want to focus on the legal portion of this. My biggest question, Christopher, and I got a lot we can go through, a lot of clips and everything. Why didn't they get a search warrant? Now, the Northport, Florida police are here. I'm in Florida. They're right by me in Tampa Bay. I am so frustrated by this Josh Lawrence, the PR marketing officer, whatever his specific title. He's not an actual detective or an officer, but he's been out there sort of very defensive and very, he's a private citizen, and what are we going to do? Follow him? Yes, seems very clear when he came back and that woman and Gabby was missing, you would have followed him. I want to get your legal advice. Why didn't they get a search warrant? And do you think they're making excuses as to why they didn't? Well, certainly it looks bad how it happened. So there's going to be a natural defensiveness here to justify what they did or didn't do for sure. And I listened to his statements as this was ongoing, and I know he was questioned about, why don't you get a search warrant? Why you arrest? And his explanation at the time was, hey, we don't even know if a crime's been committed. This was before Gabby or the body resembling her or whatever we're saying at this moment was located. And so he was saying, hey, it's a missing persons case. We don't have enough to go on and to know if even a crime has occurred. And so that was his position, and they were taking a very cautious approach to saying, we don't even know if there's a crime, and how can we get a search warrant if we don't know that there's a crime?
Right.
And that kind of then leads to this whole sequence of events that we saw unfold, which is, hey, we don't know there's a crime, so therefore we're not going to get a search warrant or arrest warrant, and we're just going to let it play out, and obviously did not play out well. Now, what the spokesperson was saying is that there is the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which guarantees us a right against having searches of our homes or us being arrested or seized without probable cause. And so that's a right that we hold. That's a right that Brian had and his parents had in their house. So in order to get a search warrant, there has to be an affidavit presented by the police to a judge that there is what we call probable cause, and that's defined basically as would a reasonable person believe that evidence of crime could be found inside that house. And so first, what is the crime, and what evidence do they reasonably believe could be found there? So they'd have to articulate that. And it's what's hard is us as a public listening to this. We have theories. We figure like, hey, this guy looks guilty. He's not talking, which makes him look really guilty, but he has a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and to get counsel. So the police can't use the exercise of his constitutional privilege to remain silent and to have a lawyer as evidence of guilt. Even though maybe the public are happy to conclude those things, the police can't. So they have to come in with articulable facts, like specifics, details.
Right.
Why do we think? And whatever reason, this police department said we don't have enough. But even without the benefit of the hindsight that we have now, we knew the body cam. We knew, and certainly the police knew about the 911 call before we got that.
Right.
But the police had all that information, and I believe a reasonable person could conclude that a crime was committed against Gabby, and that evidence could be found in the place where her boyfriend went into that house. So they could have articulated it. The risk of them going forth with that more aggressive move is that Brian's counsel could later challenge the affidavit and say that the judge issued the search warrant improperly, not based on sufficient evidence, and whatever evidence then was located in the home would be excluded. So
Well,
that's the balance that you take.
Well, that's really interesting. I didn't think of that. If they had done it improperly and then we did go through the motions, they could come back to haunt them that they didn't do it right. But I guess so. All right. So I understand that, and that's an important right that we have as people, and I think we're all emotionally, obviously, invested in this story. Hindsight's 2020, right? We're all sort of playing the cop now when it's easy to do. However, like you said, there seemed to be a lot of things there, if they had been doing the job, to point out. I mean, the fact that the 911 call was sort of ignored and not on the police report, a lot of this stuff is just very weird. So I understand legally, and I hope you guys do, as frustrating it is, why there wasn't, why they couldn't, charge him with anything as clearly as we want to now. I mean, they still haven't even labeled him a suspect. We still are waiting for the results of the autopsy. But why didn't they follow him? And it's like, as a lawyer, from your perspective, there's a lot of excuses from Josh Lawrence on this and the department of, well, he's a free citizen. What are we going to do? Follow him? I mean, they're allowed to follow him, just not into private establishments. I mean, they're allowed to eye a suspect, even just in a missing persons case, potentially wondering, well, maybe he knows where she is. Wouldn't there be reason to put a car on him to just keep eyes on where he's at?
Oh, yeah. There's no question they had the right to do that. They don't need a search warrant to sit in front of his house or follow him around. So I know that's the excuse that's being given is that, hey, we had no reason to do that. But I think what's really going on is resources. If the police are going to do a stakeout, okay, well, let's take a look at what that means practically. You're not going to just have one officer or deputy sitting in a car. You got to have a partner. So now you've got two people, and it's not going to just be during certain hours. You'd really want it to be round the clock. So now you got 2 or 3 shifts of two, a two person unit. We have the back entrance, which we've heard is a way out, which he may have used to get out if he was however he escaped this house. So now you got the front and the back covered. A two person unit, front and back, 24 hours a day. And then if he's, and if you don't want it to be obvious, so it's a covert, then you have to really hide. And so maybe you're going into a neighbor's house to observe from there, but how do you trust the neighbor? So this is very complex. And then if he gets in a car and drives, or his parents go out and drive, are you going to follow them? And now you've got units for that. Right. So it's certainly easy to say, and it would have been nice, obviously, had they put him under this level of surveillance, but it's a lot of resources and a lot of planning. It's not just saying we're going to do it.
Right, fair. It is true. It's hard even because you got to swap out. Even if you have that rogue cop who's on the beat, like we see in the movies, who's like, I'm following this guy. They still got to sleep at some point. It's hard to have 24-hour surveillance on one person without having multiple teams on it. Still, would have been cheaper resources than what they currently have to do now, it seems. So they're looking, they have a lot of egg on their face, I think. It's very fascinating. I want to go back because you said it. We got to be careful of our words here, guys. We're calling it DV in the chat. Hopefully people can explain what it is. When there's an instance of DV, which there was because of the 911 tape, which admitted that there was, an action of Brian against Gabby, which the police who pulled them over went the other way. I want to talk about that too, if you're familiar with it, but that because of that instance of DV, they could have had a reason to get the warrant, right? You're saying, I just want to echo that. Because of that, they could have gone for a warrant against a search for evidence of a crime or other things without actually saying that he did a crime. The cops messed up on that, correct?
Yeah, that to me it's significant because when you have an adult that's gone missing, there's lots of reasons, non-criminal reasons why that adult may not be there. Some people just don't want to be found, or it could be a crime. So it's ambiguous or uncertain. But here we have this prior incident. There's a law enforcement contact that's documented, and that would cause a reasonable person to believe that she was in danger. And then you put that on top of that boyfriend being the last person to see her without any kind of intelligent explanation as to what happened. So I think when you put those together, a reasonable mind would entertain that a crime has occurred, and that and that the evidence could be found in his vehicle or in his home or where he's living. So I think that certainly the affidavit could have been presented. Again, trying to give the benefit of the doubt to the police that they're trying to be super cautious, because there are certainly cases where search warrants were issued and evidence was found. I mean, highly incriminating evidence was found as a result of the search, and then it was suppressed, meaning that the defense attorney came in afterwards and made a motion to say that the court should never granted that. And if that's successful, then none of that evidence can be used. And no information that results from that evidence could be used. It's the doctrine called fruit of the poisonous tree. So if you go into the house under a search warrant, turns out to be a bad warrant, you've now obtained evidence, maybe notes or other records or whatever, that leads you yet to other evidence. All of that secondary evidence that you obtained as a result of the bad search also has to be excluded. So
a lot of good reasons here of why it's more complicated than I think all of us want to do from home.
Well, that's it. It's like you could ruin the case, and that's even worse. I mean, now you have actual evidence of guilt, but you cannot use it in court, and the person would go free. So that's the risk of going too aggressive on the search warrant. And Brian would have absolutely had the right to challenge the warrant, because he would have never been a participant in the application for the warrant. The warrants are issued in secret. It's the police and prosecutor presenting it to the judge. No notice is ever given to the suspect, right, or the owner of the house that's being searched. That's the whole point. And so therefore they have a right, after the order is issued, to challenge it. So they have to make sure they got it right. And hey, I think that they could have done it, but in their judgment, they decided they couldn't.
All right, so I have two more. I got some questions here. Good. Thank you, Maximilian. Had a nice conversation on Twitter yesterday about this, and sent that article, which is an update about the Laundrie's lawyer canceling the press conference, which was meant to be today. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. So many people have been helping. There's so much coming in. I appreciate you guys who send me articles so I can look and vet them. But I appreciate that, Maximilian. There was supposed to be a press conference today, Christopher, from Brian Laundrie's lawyers. Apparently, he canceled said press conference after speaking with the FBI. What do you think he would have said? Do you have any insight? I mean, we're speculating here. Do you have any insight of what that might have been?
Very strange. I mean, usually defense attorneys don't give press conferences.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna exercise your right to be silent, and then you're going to be silent. And he is an agent for Brian or the family, so anything he says, could be used as evidence. So we'd have to be extremely careful. So it'd be odd for him to basically blow off the police, not, have his client assist in any way in the location of Gabby, but then to hold a press conference. To me, that really is bothersome. Now, if the FBI is telling him that it's not, it's better not to say something, there's a lot of speculation that can go around that. But I think, to me, it's like, hey, if you're going to say something, say it when it counted early on in the investigation, when it would have made a difference. Don't get in front of the media. That's just it's really horrible when I see that happening.
I mean, because I have so much I want to go through. A couple more comments. I'm going to get to them, and I want to ask. Don't let me forget. Who's responsible? I want to get to that too. Of like who at this point. Let's say we prove that this is a crime, which it seems like it's going that direction. Can the parents be responsible, etc.? But going off on sorry, my train of thought. We were just talking about the. I wanted to ask a question about if an instance of oh man, I went too far ahead, and I had a really good question I want to ask you. I'm going to come back to it. Sorry, totally had a brain fart. There's a question here though that's distracted me. Why didn't they arrest Brian when there were reports of the DV? If there were one of the officers that pulled them over and he would have been in handcuffs immediately, Brian Knuth wants to ask. Once that 911 call came in, which they had, do you think they just lost it? Like, is that possible?
Well, so this is what I looked at because in California where I practice, there's a mandate to police to make an arrest in a situation like that. And so I looked at the Utah code, and we could maybe do a link or something like that. But if you wanted to look this up, it's 77-36-2.1. I mean, geez, how they number things.
If you DM it to me, I can open up. Do you have it on your there? If you send it to me, I can have it up. If you or just talk it if you need to.
Yeah, I'll email it to you here. Okay. But it's so basically Utah follows what most departments are doing right now, or states are doing, which is they're mandating an arrest. And when there's a case like this, and they contact somebody in the field, and there's bodily injury. So they've got a complaint of something like this, bodily injury. And sorry, just multitasking here while I'm sending you the statutes, Andy. So there they are. There's two of them.
Okay.
So in Utah, we have these two statutes that say if the police get a report of an incident like this, and there's evidence that the incident occurred, you shall make an arrest or a citation. So right there, the first one, and again, this is 77-36.2.1, that first paragraph, a law enforcement responding to an allegation of DV shall use all reasonable means to protect the victim and to prevent further violence. So this is the state of Utah, because we saw a lot of different uniforms there, right? There's like 3 agencies. So, places spread out. But we saw 3 agencies. And so they have this law that mandates that protection is the number one goal of the officer. And then when you go down and read through it, they mandate an arrest or a citation to go to court. And so they didn't do either one of those here. And that's what was bothering me, because again, my background's in California, and we used to do that a long time ago. And spousal issues would come up, and they would say, break the couple up, you go this place, you go that place, and they would leave, and they would think I've done my job. And then somebody gets hurt, because this is a cycle of violence. It's very rare, I think, or more typical, that there is repetition of these events, that it's not a one-off, that something happens once and then it happens 2, 3, 4 times. So the law recognizes that finally and says, no, you got to do something. You got to make an arrest, or you got to cite them into court. And the statute says if there's serious bodily injury, which I looked up the definition, and that's really much more serious than we saw here, but they actually have to take into custody. So they didn't do any of those things. And instead, even though there was evidence that something actually happened, they didn't do either, and they called it a mental health crisis.
Right.
Now, to me, that's just their way of thinking that they're giving a break, because they probably, maybe would have thought, hey, I'm going to arrest her because he's got the injury on him. And, so maybe they're going to take her, and they don't want to take her. So they say, how are we going to get out of following this statute? And so they're going to call it a mental health crisis. To me, that doesn't cut it, because if you got somebody who's got a mental health crisis that's a danger to themselves or somebody else, then you got to take them into protective custody.
That's a good point.
So they didn't do that. They let her go, and they got him a hotel. And look, I mean, had they done something, even if they would have arrested her, not saying that she did anything wrong, but even if they would have arrested her, would this have come out differently? And or if they would have let both of them go and cited her or him or both of them, whatever they're going to do, into a court case, would they have gotten back together? Would they have continued the trip? So these are big questions that are going to be asked. We'll never know the answers to these, but when situations like this happen, it's dissected, and hopefully there's going to be changes, because again, it's they may have thought that they were doing the right thing by counseling them and cutting them loose and writing a report, but this obviously led to something far worse, and their actions, they need to be accountable for explaining their actions.
Well, there was someone there, and this also came out, but one of the park rangers, who I believe was in the video, because there was a woman, an officer, who was walking around in that video, and I kept wondering why they weren't getting more insight from her. But she's come forward and made some comments about it. She can still hear her voice, warned Gabby of her relationship seemed toxic. Again, if there's anything we learn from this, it's that, you know, these officers who are going to take these incidents and talk to the witnesses, etc., they need some better training, because it was very clear, and as I've talked to other victims and people who've been through this, like, she was so distraught and emotional that it was clear she was covering up for him, which is something a lot of victims do, because they didn't want it to get worse, or they're stuck defending him. And now seeing sort of the picture be painted in front of us all, it does feel very clear. I mean, you could tell that when he's laughing and he's sort of like, really? I'm going to you better give me that video, since you said I didn't do anything. There's a lot of red flags suddenly in that video. And I don't know if it's right for us to, you know, be so angry at the police, because, you know, they clearly weren't trained properly. I think they thought they were doing the right thing there. The one officer keeps constantly referring to his own relationship, comparing his own wife to Gabby. I'm sure those cops are having some serious regrets and problems, but is there anything that can be done against those officers from a legal standpoint that the family can do to say, hey, this could have been stopped if you had actually done the right thing? Does Gabby's family have any protocol now to go after them or anybody?
Well, I mean, I don't know what Utah law would provide for that. I mean, certainly there is that statute that commanded them to either make an arrest or issue a citation for a court proceeding, and they didn't do either one of those. They did a report. They explained why they were there and what they did and why they didn't take action. But again, that on those circumstances, it seems like they were mandated to act. And whether that gives the family, Gabby's family, a right to sue, I don't know. Obviously, it would be speculative as to what would have happened had an arrest taken place or a citation to go to court. Would it have changed anything? I don't know. Certainly, all of these procedures that police follow are the result of incidents that have gone bad. And it's because of things like this that, yes, different training happens, you know, and that's why Utah and many other states have these mandates, because previously it was left to the officer's discretion when they would be on a scene to determine what to do. And it just became unworkable to leave that level of discretion to an officer and to say, no, if you're called for an incident like this and somebody's got visible injuries, you shall take. And in, like I say, California, it's you shall take into custody. You don't even have the option to do a cite out. So they may change this. We may look a year from now at the Utah code, and it may say you shall take into custody. And maybe that's what's going to happen, because it's cases like this that say, you know, we need more than a physical separation. We need more than a hotel room for a night. We need intervention to make sure that we're getting to the bottom of this and it doesn't happen. And like the code says, the first duty of law enforcement is to protect the victim and make sure that this doesn't happen again. And so they did create some physical space between the two of them. They did talk to the two of them, but then let them go their merry way the next day.
So, all right. So we don't know. What about, I want to ask about the family. Like, can the parents of Brian be held as accomplices to this? Is there, if it turns out that Brian did do something wrong, and they sort of helped to lengthen his stay there and potentially cover things up, what would the cops need to know, or what do we need to prove to see if the parents are involved?
So I'm sure they're looking very closely at that. And I know initially there were talks about obstruction of justice charges against Brian and his parents for not talking or not cooperating. Well, just to break that piece down just a little bit, we do, as individuals, have a right to remain silent, and we are not obligated to speak. So even if we have knowledge of a crime, even if we have the ability to assist the police, we are not obligated to speak. So we can never be charged with obstructing justice by withholding information. We only get into trouble is if we choose to speak and lie about it. Martha Stewart would be the perfect example. She was being investigated for insider trading. She could have just said, I ain't answering a question. Instead, she said, let me tell you about it. And then she lied and then got thrown in prison for telling a lie. So same thing here. If they all remain silent, fine. But the parents eventually gave a statement to the police about Brian being missing, and that's the first that I know of where the parents actually interacted with the police, because that's what that spokesman said. It was the first time we've been trying to get a hold of these people or have them talk, and the days later they're telling us now that their son's missing. Well, if any bit of that statement is false, then absolutely they can be held criminally responsible for it. Its other strange point on that is that back to your earlier thing about surveillance, the spokesman was being challenged, like, well, why didn't you keep under surveillance? And the spokesman says, well, we were 100% sure that they were in the house because that's what we're being told. But then later he admitted that the parents never told him anything until they reported him missing. So where would he have actually got this information that he relied so much on? So we'll see. Once they chose to talk, now they're outside the Fifth Amendment, and they're choosing to speak. And if they're telling law enforcement something that's false, then they can be held responsible for that.
We hope so. So when do you think we'll get the autopsy result? Apparently it's happening today, because you have some criminal defense experience. How long does that take? Do you think, the FBI is clearly stepping up and knows a lot of eyes are watching this case. What can we expect moving forward? And also, follow up, why haven't they announced him a suspect yet, do you think? Is it possible that he may not actually get accused as a suspect?
Well, it obviously they know more than we do. The autopsy was supposed to happen this morning. I assume it did. That eventually will be made public, but I don't know exactly what the law is there where they're conducting the autopsy, but normally that information would be withheld for investigative purposes, or at least part of the information, because they don't want to ruin the investigation by releasing too much information. So I don't know that we're seeing it today. My guess is we're not. Now, in terms of like naming him a suspect versus a person of interest, whatever, I guess they're thinking there's really no reason to name him a suspect right now, because they don't have him in their sights to grab him in custody. So they're certainly looking for him. And once they lay hands on him, then sure, they can go ahead and arrest him and charge him, or at least hold him for a bit. But there's no reason right now to name him a suspect. Now, many times...
I want not to interrupt, because I want to hear what you're saying, but why? I got to challenge that. Why wouldn't there be? Because now it's a manhunt, it's a crime scene, he's a wanted man. Doesn't that make it even more important to find him, if that is the case? Why would you withhold that?
Yeah, I don't... That is a good point. Certainly there's a lot of people looking for him. They do have the missing person thing, so that would allow... law enforcement to enter him into their databases to say this is a missing person. So if any law enforcement does get in contact with him in a different state and runs him, that's going to come up, and then that's going to send off all the alarm bells that maybe they need to do. It seems like the results of the autopsy are going to be significant, because we don't know her cause of death. We're all assuming this is her that was found, and that we don't know the cause of death. So I mean, maybe, you know, it was a non-criminal cause of death. But certainly if it was a criminal cause of death, then I would imagine they're going to name him as the suspect at that point. But I believe they're waiting for the autopsy report.
Vamp Diva, thank you, Vamp. Sorry, I'll get to all your questions. Christopher's only here for a few more, and then we're going to break down a lot more stuff. So stick around. We got a lot to break down, but I want to use Christopher. We're I'm so glad to have him, or grateful to have him and his expertise here. Vamp Diva, thank you for your support. Strangers worldwide are heartbroken over Gabby, yet his parents couldn't give a toss. Some love for the UK. Agreed, Vamp. It's tragic. Aaron just tipped as well. Thank you, Aaron. If you watch the body cam footage of 26 minutes into the footage, Brian says I should get rid of her and laughs. I feel like police officers should be required to have some sort of degree in psychology. Yikes. I'm going to go through that after Christopher leaves. We'll go through that footage together and find that out. I don't remember hearing that, but that's awful. I mean, they should have a degree. I mean, it's hard to get officers to get the job and to do it right, let alone, oh, by the way, take all this training, get all this. I mean, the reality though is, yes, in these instances when especially when there's an instance of DV or questions of who's lying and who's not, it does feel like there should be more experts in each police department to have to phone in or call in, right, Christopher? Do you think that's something that could change from all this?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the individual, and everyone has different, you know, skill sets and motivations. So, and we had a lot of officers there, and I kind of saw everyone wearing a different uniform, and that's part of the issue too. I mean, there would have only been one agency that would have had the handle on it, and I'm not sure which one was, and the others were just there in a kind of an assistive capacity. So whoever had the handle on it would have been running this and make the decision on what they're going to do. And you know, yeah, you can do all the training in the world, but it really comes down to, does somebody have empathy and common sense and how they're going to handle it? And look, I could understand. I mean, they could have, under that evidence that we saw on the body cam, put her in custody, and I'm sure people would have been upset about that. Or they could have put him in custody, or they could have let him go like they did. So it is very difficult. Certainly a lot of second guessing going on, but it's certainly it's all being taped at the moment, so we're getting this raw conversation between the officers on what they're doing. Not a great moment. I'm sure that there's going to be fallout from it. There's going to be other procedures put into place, and the all of the training in the world though doesn't really doesn't help her. And I think where the change is going to come into effect is that nobody wants to be that officer on tape who let this guy go, or let them go their way and have something like this happen. So that will cause some pause, and it might result in somebody saying, hey, we're not going to give anybody a break here. We're going to take somebody in custody in an incident like this, which seems like the law is intense, and let the court figure that out, rather than trying to deal with it in the field based on imperfect information. The other thing, Andy, is on that 911 call and why that wasn't relayed to the responding officers, and that is a problem because its dispatch gets the call and then is filtering all that information and then puts it into notes that's being sent out. And so that isn't always, there's definitely a disconnect there between what the 911 officer hears and the notes that are dispatched. And they're not necessarily going back and listening to the tape. Obviously now in a big investigation like this, but where they're out there on the side of a highway, they're not calling in saying, hey, play the tape for me.
Right.
So what I would be interested in knowing is what the dispatch said. So when this call came out, it would have probably been voiced over the radio. And if they have a mobile digital computer in their car, there would be notes in there. And that's what the officers would be reading. And if it said, man slaps, male slaps female, that puts a completely different spin on this thing, because now we know he's lying, and because he didn't say that. And the grabbing of the wheel, all this stuff now puts a completely different flavor on it than if the officers didn't have that information when they made their decision to cut him loose.
Right, and I want to be clear because in my title is a cover-up. I've seen people sort of always saying this. It's like with Britney, the corruption. It always comes out when this stuff happens. We don't see any evidence of that yet, of a cover-up. It does seem like the evidence, and it sounds like from your, I don't know, speak for you, but it sounds like this is just understaffed, not the best people at the job potentially. That sort of a lot of errors happened. Sad, tragic errors seem to happen. So I don't think there was a cover-up then. However, now. Is it possible for some of this stuff to sort of attempt to could they try to like make some of it seem like it didn't happen or change things, do you think? Do you think at this point there's any reality to that to people who are screaming the outrage?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that the 911 tape has been released and that's public record. And then there's the report, which normally in an incident like this, it's confidential, but that got, out there, at least snippets of it that we saw on Twitter. But, hey, this thing was documented and done before it became a story. And so there's really not an opportunity to go back in time and change things. And in terms of, like I say, because I have the background and done this job and looked at it, and it's like it's like the telephone game. It's like if you call somebody and then they call somebody else and repeat it 2 or 3 times down the road, that information gets watered down. And you could hear the 911 operator very quick cutting the caller off. Okay, where are you? What did you see? What kind of car?
Yeah, who are you?
They're trying to get the information.
He was very aggressive.
Just cutting the guy off. It's not like, hey, tell me your story. It's like, what do you got? Where are you? What did you see? Okay, boom. They say, okay, this looks like enough, and now we got somebody rolling, so we got to get people out there to intercept them. So now there is like, where are you? Where did you last see him? What kind of car is it? They just know enough information and they're shooting that information out quick. So they're not going to necessarily get it all accurately right because their main focus at that point is to find the vehicle and stop the vehicle.
Well, and to add to that, there was apparently another witness who was there. And so they may have just compiled both the real life witness and the 911 tape. And then they said the real life witness didn't see any action there. So again, is there a cover up? I don't see that yet. Were there mistakes? Yes. Again, hindsight's 2020. A lot of us are now, obviously, now that we know what happened, seeing a lot of the little things, but it's easy to go back and watch the footage and rewind and say, wait, what did he say? Versus the person in the moment who's being told these things. Not to defend these guys. I think they made some errors, but you're right. I just want to echo, there was also a witness, apparently they speak about, who saw it, who they spoke to. They never make mention of the 911 call, but I agree if we could get the dispatcher's notes as to what went and what was sent, it'd be questionable. But shouldn't they have all filed a police report? Isn't that at some point when you do the report, shouldn't someone at that point listen to the audio tape?
That I haven't seen done except in a large investigation like this, but in something like that, which was basically a release, a field release without any action, they're not going to go back to the dispatcher. They're going to rely on what they heard and what they were told on the ground. So that is a failure of the system, I guess. I mean, it would be nice, and I think we have the technology to associate that 911 audio with the call. And so rather than having to call dispatch and saying, hey, could you make a tape of that and send it to me, that could potentially be associated. But I don't know any departments doing that. Just automatically where you can get into your computer and type in there and saying, hey, play me the 911 tape. You would have to actually order it from dispatch. So again, it's not a cover up. It's just the realities of somebody getting on a 911 call, passing the information to a dispatcher, the dispatcher passing it to maybe another dispatcher who's then voicing it on the radio, and then an officer hearing this on some radio or seeing it on a screen while he or she's driving and then finding these people. It's not ever going to be perfect information under those circumstances.
All right, so make sure I got through a couple of these questions before we let you go. With the 2 other men missing in Tetons, one about a week before Gabby, do you think Brian's defense will leverage that to create doubt on who did it? Any thoughts? They're talking about that Moon Ridge. Was it Moon Ridge? I'm still looking into that. I sort of shrugged it off because the officer said it's not connected, but now I'm realizing the officers haven't always been up the best with their notes. I think we do need to reevaluate that. But do you have thoughts on that? Do you know what they're talking about?
Well, yeah, I don't know the particulars, but that's certainly what a defense attorney would do is to create reasonable doubt, to say, look, there's these other cases of missing people, or it could have been this, could have been that. And, just depends on what that autopsy is going to reveal, and what, if there's evidence there that would link him, and if other eyewitness or testimony is developed, or video. Certainly it looks very bad, and it may turn out to be a circumstantial case, but you can win those. We saw with Durst, if you're following that case, he was the jinx. He was convicted on pure circumstantial evidence, or mostly circumstantial evidence, I should say. But, here, the fact that Brian, has no rational explanation for what he did. He got that ride. He paid, tries to pay $200 to get the ride. You start putting enough of those facts together, he looks guilty, and there's enough circumstantial evidence that would probably connect him up for a juror to overcome any doubt whether this could have been caused by some other bad person roaming the wilderness.
Lots to figure out. The autopsy will obviously reveal a lot. Shouldn't they? I mean, isn't it pretty common to sort of know right away if there was something questionable, that the crime was committed? I guess you have to wait and do the due diligence to figure that out first. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, so certainly they're going to have to rely on medical evidence to understand the cause of death, and to collect evidence from the remains and surroundings and all that, and put that together. And obviously they got teams and teams of people working on that, but that's not something that it could be obvious from the condition of the body, what happened, or maybe not. So we just don't have that information. So used to
Dexter showing up and solving it in 1 minute. So I guess who knows? That's not the reality of things. I do my best gaming. Thank you. Is it possible the police didn't speak to him face to face, or just throw a family and lawyers? If they didn't, who says he was ever in Florida, and who drove the van to Florida? Good questions. Yeah. Also, couldn't they arrest him for theft if he was in possession of her van? Well, apparently it was in both of their names. Which caused another issue of it. So that was another reason why they let her stay there. Autopsy has been confirmed. That is Gabby via the Independent. Okay, so that just dropped. If that's breaking news, we will. If someone can send me that as we're live, I'm looking just real quick, Chris, before. Yeah. If we have that, I don't see it yet. The Independent is reporting that first. If it is breaking, it would be literally breaking. If someone can send it to me on Twitter at DM, it's the easiest way to send me. Or Steph, the Independent, you send me links there. If you're able to look that up and someone can send that to me, that would be good to find. I'm looking it up as we're live, because if that's true, I want to break that for you guys so we know. Independent, I don't see it yet. But yeah, if you guys have a link, just always send it to me via Twitter. That way I can find it quicker and we don't waste the stream looking. But it's possible, but I don't see it yet on the Independent site. That you'd think they'd put that live breaking news. And it's not there yet. So we'll keep looking. If that happens while we're live, we will address that with you guys. But Maximilian, I don't see it, so message me if you can. We're still waiting for confirmation, it seems. But that's the other problem, Christopher, in this case. It's a blessing and a curse to have the internet on everything, because you do get some more information, but you get a lot of information, and sometimes a lot of bad information. A lot of improper misinformation, which can be really dangerous. All right, any final thoughts, comments, quickly send them over. We're going to let Christopher go and then go through a lot of the other stories we have here. But final thoughts from you on, what was the biggest mistake here that could have been changed? While you're pondering that, I want to make sure while everyone's watching, please go subscribe to Christopher here. I want to give him a big plug as we're prepping that. You can go support him. The mods have been sharing his link. I love seeing that subscriber grow. It's growing fast and furious. Bravo to you and your coverage there. Chris and I are doing a lot. Christopher are doing a lot of Britney Spears coverage. And in fact, we'll be doing a live hearing similar to this, but he'll be there live in the courthouse. So if you want to join us, go over to this page. I'll put the link there. Hit set reminder. If you haven't already, though, at the same time right now, while you guys are watching, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for alerts so you get these notifications when we go live like this to break news. Also, smash the like button right now if you can, and keep the comments going to help the algorithm. But we're very excited to be together on it's 29th, next Wednesday, right, Christopher?
Yeah, Wednesday 29th, 1:30 p.m. Pacific is when the hearing starts, and then you'll decide, Andy, on when the stream will
Well, yeah,
will
we
start.
said it. It's set for live in 7 days. September 29th at 3 p.m. We'll be Eastern Standard Time. We'll be going live. There'll be sort of a pre-show where we'll connect with people. We're gonna have some special guests. We'll be covering that because it's a big day for Britney Spears, another big topic. She's back on Instagram, guys. I know I've been distracted with this case. It's important breaking news, but we have lots more to cover on the Britney Spears case. For those of you who discovered us and been following that, stay tuned. We'll have a big live stream there. In fact, I'm going to put the link there. But going back to this, Christopher, final thoughts from you. What is the big sort of takeaway or mistake that leaves with you?
Well, the thing that would have made the difference is what happened in Utah, not what happened in Florida. Because we know, by the time Florida police got involved, Gabby was not there. And so it was Utah, before whatever happened, could have changed the course of history. And to me, that's where the criticism has to occur. Law enforcement should be welcome to that, because it is a difficult job where they're dealing with a lot of things and imperfect information, and they do have to use discretion to decide what they're going to do. And they don't want to let that happen again. So this needs to be examined in detail with complete openness to taking responsibility for how things could have turned differently, and to run all those different scenarios. What if they would have taken somebody into custody? What if they would have issued a court citation as opposed to the way that they handled it? And to improve and do a better job. It won't bring her back, but it can change somebody else's outcome.
The other question I finally figured out, my brain fart from earlier, Brian's attorney doesn't seem like a very good attorney. He does, in that he's protecting his clients. But does there come a point, if a client comes to you and says, yeah, I did it, is this the right thing to do? Like, what is a lawyer, a criminal defense lawyer, if you know, or I guess you're not supposed to know, but what do you think, Brian, of Brian's attorney and what he's doing?
Well, this is tough. And so I was a criminal defense attorney, and represented some people who did some really awful things. And the attorney I was working for at the time, I said, geez, what if I actually win one of these cases? These were some awful crimes that I was defending folks on. And she said, if you're having thoughts like that, this is maybe not the right line of work for you. And the thing is that you as a criminal defense attorney, many of your clients are guilty. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody who's factually innocent, and that's a great thing to represent somebody like that. But many times they are guilty, and especially in the early stages of a case like this, where they're withholding information, the standard advice is do not say anything, even though it could make a huge difference to her family. That's the standard advice. So I think every criminal defense attorney would have recommended that. Don't give a statement. And it's tough, but that's what's done. And so I would have expected that he would have given that advice. And the moment that you start speaking, well, now you're not remaining silent. And if the attorney's going out there giving statements on behalf of Brian, that could come back later on and be used. So that's why I'm, was confused about this press conference thing. But hey, that's the way that it's done. And there is this constitutional right to remain silent and to refuse to cooperate with the police.
Well, we do have breaking news. I want to break it really quick, and I'm going to record this just so people are aware. So give me 1 second. We are live here on Popcorn Planet with attorney Christopher Melcher, and we do have sad news. It looks like the autopsy has confirmed that the body found in Wyoming is missing YouTuber Gabby Petito. This is sadly what we were expecting to happen according to everything they've done, but this is a very tragic news that they've now confirmed it. They are also saying that there will be more info about the autopsy released once Gabby is home, the family attorney says. This is sad. It's confirmation, but I think a lot of us were predicting this. I don't think they would have done what they did had they not been pretty confident that it was Gabby. Christopher, while we still have you, again, if this was a criminal act at this point, if they've confirmed the body and they've had a day, and this is now breaking news, is this strange that they're not announcing further criminal activity potentially to Brian? Could this be troublesome for people who are wanting Brian's head on a stake? Do you have any takeaway on what they're revealing here? Or is this just a respectful motion to her family?
Well, all they're saying is it's her. They don't talk. They don't say the cause of death. So there's that's not disclosed that I'm seeing.
No.
And so that's the thing. I mean, I guess it's conceivable that, she was walking there in the wilderness and got, injured or got killed by a bear or something like that. We don't know until we see the autopsy report on the cause of death. And so we just don't have that info right now.
Is this standard, though, to sort of play it safe, if you will? Like, it does feel like at this point wouldn't they know if this was criminal activity, if they've had a whole day and they're releasing the identity? What is your take? I mean, as someone you've done criminal defense, you've I imagine experienced cases where bodies are found. Why pause on that, or could it be potential that they're just still not going to even tell us when the results are given?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a couple things at play here. One would be respect for the family is probably the predominant thing, because like they're saying, they're going to wait for her to come home. And, and when the FBI agent gave that press conference a couple days ago and they said, yes, we found a body or remains that kind of resemble or consistent with Gabby. I mean, he was almost in tears. So I think it was pretty clear that was her just based on his demeanor. But they're being very cautious, probably out of respect for the family, number one, not to release details that are going to be going around before the family has a time to process that information. I got to think that's first. Another reason why an investigator would withhold information is because they're hoping that they can get the suspect to talk. Now, that's not really realistic here because Brian's already lawyered up. But sometimes, they haven't got a lawyer, and so they want to say like, hey, we don't even know what happened exactly, and why don't you just come in and tell us? We want to get some information, and then they lure him in to an interview and get a bunch of damaging, incriminating statements out of the person before they can go to a lawyer and exercise their rights to remain silent.
I was going to say that's key right there, because to me it's like, yeah, you're right. He has lawyered up, but I don't know if his lawyer is very good. I think he's a real estate lawyer. From some people in the chat were saying the reality is, while we're all wanting to react immediately and get the information now, as we all been reporting this day every minute, just trying to get new information, it behooves them in a way to keep as much of their cards as possible, because the more they reveal, yes, this was a murder. For Brian to not even know if they know it's a murder is still a way for them to have the upper hand, correct?
Yeah, we don't know. It seems highly unlikely that Brian would ever give a statement to the police under these circumstances, because he never did, and he had a lawyer from the beginning. But in many cases, people do. And they think like, hey, I don't want to look guilty, so I'm going to talk to the police, even though they are guilty. They think they can talk their way out of it. The police are very good at holding on, like you say, to that information and kind of playing dumb and being like, hey, we don't really know what happened. Why don't you talk to us? Or they'll even, try and say, hey, I understand, maybe things got out of control. Maybe you didn't mean to do this. Maybe it was somebody else, and they just got to get them talking, because the more they talk, the more they're going to incriminate themselves. So they may hold it for that reason. But to me, I really doubt we're going to see that occur here because he did get a lawyer immediately, never talked. Anything's possible, but my guess is they're holding the information out of respect for the family, or they just know something we don't know. Maybe there is another suspect. Maybe they got their eyes on the parents. I really don't know. But I think, look, you got the FBI, you got you got a ton of agencies on this thing. So I got to think that they're being careful for a reason.
Yeah. So all of you who are watching and going crazy trying to get this information, it's good to hear from Christopher that sort of insight and to have these conversations so we can remember to relax and be patient because, yeah, I mean, this is so tragic for her family to have this confirmation. They're still, I'm sure, very distracted by the hunt to find him. I'm sure they're still wanting to figure out and ask a lot of questions to him. However, this news is devastating for any parent, and it's why a lot of us have gotten, I think, so invested in this case. Gabby Petito, way too young. So it just makes me sad when the reality hits you on this case, because I think a lot of us have been following it so closely, still hoping to find her. But now the confirmation is there that yes, the body has been discovered and ID'd as Gabby. Christopher, I appreciate you being here as we wrap this clip up, because I'm clipping this so people are aware. The autopsy is really the next biggest important information we're going to get. Any other final thoughts or expectations that we can expect from this police department? It seems like you're saying we're going to probably have to wait a little while. They're going to give a statement, but do you suspect the statement tomorrow or whenever she comes home will be aggressive based on what you've seen so far?
Well, I hope so. I mean, if the cause of death is a result of some criminal activity, it's a homicide. I'm hoping that they would just go ahead and just name him if they're at that point. Also, the search for Brian, I mean, it just seems really, really difficult in those circumstances to find it. I don't know how long it's going to take to find him. And that could just be a while. But yeah, very, very sad news. Not unexpected, obviously, from what we heard at the press conference. But now we're left with the details. How did she die?
Lots more we're going to cover here. I just want to make sure you guys had this update. I'm clipping this for YouTube's sake. We're going to still be live. We have a lot to cover as we try to figure out this hunt for a Brian Laundrie, dirty laundry. There is footage that's come through that we're gonna dissect. Is this real? And lots more to go through. But Christopher, I appreciate you being here, guys. Again, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to Christopher. We're always grateful to have him here. You can subscribe there. The mods are putting the channel out there. But CCM Esquire, ESQ for Esquire on YouTube. Always appreciate you being here. And guys, make sure you catch us on our Free Britney hearing coverage, which will be happening on September 29th. I'll put the link in the description. You can go click Set Remind Me, and we'll be covering that in depth as we have for a while now. Always wonderful to talk to you, Chris. I wish it was on better circumstances, but I appreciate your insight on this. You always bring so much gravity and smarts to this. So happy to have you. Final word?
Oh, thanks, Andy. I appreciate it.
Always good to have you guys. If you're watching live, don't go anywhere. Christopher's got to go, but we got a lot more to cover. I appreciate you watching, clipping this for the sake of YouTube so people have this news. Thank you guys so much for watching on the replay. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. Okay, we're back. I want to make sure I can post that up so people are aware. I know a lot of people have still been holding hope, and it's a sad day. I'm so grateful for Christopher for being here to give us all that insight. I'm going to be bringing in Steph in a little bit to help go through a lot of stuff here, but you get so deep into a case, you start looking at this, and I know this has wrapped a lot of our minds, and I think still a lot of people are hoping things, and to have this confirmed breaks your heart. And it makes you more angry and more frustrated and more want to keep going to find this man who has so many questions for. I still don't understand why people are out there defending this guy who left his fiance out in the wilderness. Even if he, again, innocent till proven guilty, due process, of course. But anyone who does that, to me, is a scumbag. That's just me personally. I'm not a fan of this guy, and I'm really disheartened by what he did here, and I want to continue the quest to find him. So not going to give up on this story, and I appreciate you guys who have been here. This is truly sad news, but I hope this keeps us going to get justice for her and her family, who I imagine want that more than anything right now. And I don't think this guy. I don't think this guy is being honest. I'm Retin, obviously, but I don't think he's the type who's gonna off himself. He doesn't seem like that type. He seems like a narcissist and a sociopath who I wouldn't be surprised if he's watching us right now, as creepy as this is. So here we go. Yes, people are sending me over here. FBI Denver, Dr. Brent Blue has confirmed the remains of those. Hold on, make sure I adjust this here. Oh, sad news. Cause of death pending final results. FBI's commitment to justice is the forefront of each and every investigation. FBI and our partners remain dedicated to ensuring anyone reasonable or complicit in Miss Petito's death is held accountable for their actions. Mr. Brian Laundrie has been named a person of interest. Anyone with information concerning his whereabouts should contact the FBI. So there you go, guys. Update, a national park. These are the news alerts coming in as we're live. So sad news, frustrating news, but as they are saying, we must continue this quest to find Brian Laundrie. So next big question that comes out is this footage him? This has been trending all day today, and I want to go through that. We have so much to go through. John Walsh's coverage as well. So if you guys are just tuning in, we were so lucky to have Christopher Melcher here to break down. You can go back and catch that replay later. But we have a lot more to break down of sort of the biggest news that happened today in the news of Brian Laundrie and the quest for dirty laundry. And also we have this breaking news that I'm still grappling with, that the body has been identified. It is Gabby. We are still waiting for the autopsy results. I want to thank everybody who's been here. Maximilian, thank you for sending it over. Autopsy was confirmed. I got your chat there. I appreciate that. So that way we can get the information to everybody as quickly as possible. Steph is going to join this as we break this down. I don't know if you guys have seen this image, but this is getting a lot of traction. I'm curious, put a 1 in the chat if you guys have seen this already, if this is something that's new to you. Sorry, bear with me 1 second as I get this. I want to get this, but there's a better photo I have of him. Sorry, bear with me as we're live coverage, folks. As we break it to you, a lot of this stuff comes in. I'm getting some comments and questions that I want to verify here. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, and we're going to go through this next. I appreciate all you guys who have sent information over. It helps tremendously. Oh, I'm just sad. I'm sad, guys. Are you sad as well? This all could have been prevented. All could have been prevented. And there's so many cases like this every day. It makes me want to look more into some of these and make sure we give it a spotlight. Okay, I'm also just, I want to upload the latest information so people know while we're still live, this breaking news. All right, so guys, thank you for bearing with me and thank you for tuning in. So a lot of ones have heard about this as the chat's coming in fast and furious and they've seen it. Now, what do you guys think? Do you believe this is him? So here's a close-up. So this is, thank you Danielle on Twitter who created this. Distinctive receding hairline, nose seem identical to what it was captured on a trail cam. It's not in Alabama, it's in Florida. But comparing the two images that we have here, there's one. Let me open this in a new tab there. And then we go here, open in a new tab here. When we compare these two together, I don't personally see it. Seems like every bald guy that we're seeing right now, is it him? Is it him? And I understand it. I literally passed someone on a truck today and I was like, who is this? Is that the guy? I think we're all keeping our eyes open and trying to wonder who could be. I don't see this. This is not confirmed. This is some deer cam footage that someone had in their yard. This was they corrected it. I'm not saying the same guy. Hold on. This was in... Is it here? Oh, here it is. Baker, Florida. saying this is the guy, but whoever's on my trail this morning in Baker, Florida strongly fits the description of Brian Laundrie. Authorities have been contacted, but Northwest Florida area, be on the lookout. Yeah, I don't buy that he's this close. Why would he be walking? First of all, going through the woods in Florida, we got gators here. Like, I just don't get it. He had 10 days to jump out of town. He was on a boat. Did you guys catch that when he was on Instagram? He went live on Instagram by accident. I've been trying to, I can't find the clip itself, but he went live on Instagram and was on a boat. He's very active on Instagram right now. I was working on a video about that, and I can't seem to find that. Yeah, here it is. Live stream on a boat confuses Twitter as a search. Allegedly, his Instagram accidentally went live. Anyone know more on this? I can't confirm this. This is the problem with too much information. But there was report of him going live for a few seconds on Instagram. There also have been confirmed photos and evidence of him still being active by defollowing people on Instagram. And that's very telling. Again, why I believe he's not dead or killing himself is because he's enjoying all this. It would fit his profile. There was a comment. I'm sorry. I saw one of my members you shared something about your narcissistic relationship. You were a member, and I apologize, I missed it. Christopher was still talking, but I wanted to read it out loud. So if you sent that, try and send it again to me or DM it to me. But you made a point of just sort of like, yeah, narcissistic people like this, they wouldn't off themselves. So I don't think he is. I believe him being active on Instagram is real. Do you guys disagree? I mean, first of all, let me put a poll out. Do you think this is him in the photo? I'm curious there if you've seen, there's the footage. Oh, sorry, I didn't have this open. There's the clip. Is this Brian? Does this look like Brian? No. The question's important. Do you think it's Brian? I don't think it's Brian. Here, I'm posting it. There's a poll. I want to get your guys' vote. I don't think this is it, especially in the further away. Is the way his hairline, sort of his sideburn, to me is not him. He's got more beard than sideburn. And granted, that's how the hair might go. But I think this one's a non-issue, non-story that I wanted to make sure we addressed with you guys because I see a lot of people talking about it. But I don't know. I don't think it's him. Got a lot of no's. But now it's so far 72% are saying no on the poll. That'll be more effective. Hit the poll. It's on the chat if you can. Someone says the chat keeps is the video gets shouldn't the audio should be the same. I don't think this is him. That's just personally my opinion. We'll see how the poll results go. I'll leave that up for a little while. But this is the problem with Twitter and Instagram. While we're doing a lot of good, there's also a lot of bad out there, just sort of confirming a lot of stuff. All right, now I want to get to John Walsh's interview, but a lot of you have told me about this, and I want to go through it with you for those of you who missed it. Props out to Nerve Gorilla, who got the 4K footage and went through this. And if you guys have questions or comments, send them on over, please. Thank you, Shay, for becoming a member and supporting this channel. It means a lot. It helps us coverage. YouTube. Actually, before I get to this, guys, I want to vent for a second. I did a video last night about that 911 tape. But because I spoke about DV in the video, because I said the word hit, the word slap, we've already said it in the stream. This stream's done. We're live, though, so it's a little different. Because I said those words, YouTube limited the video. Now, a lot of people, Andy, it's not about money. It's not about the fact that they demonetize the video. It's about the fact that they hold the video back. They suppress it. When there's certain videos that are not ad-friendly, YouTube doesn't share as widely because they want to share the videos with the ads because YouTube wants to make their money. And so it's very frustrating as a creator because we can't even say some of these things. So I'm trying my best to cover everything we can. However, YouTube is making this tough as we're getting through words like autopsy and abuse and all this stuff. Really makes it hard for independent creators like ourselves who are trying to really, weed through all the garbage for you guys, all the false stuff and try and bring you the real stuff. It really helps when you guys become members. So I'm really grateful, Shay. Thank you so much for becoming a member. If any of you are watching and want to consider supporting, you can hit join. It's sort of a way to guarantee your support every month to sort of keep reporting like this going. So very grateful to all of you who do that. And again, if you haven't already hit the join, with a lot of you watching it, please at least consider hitting the subscribe button. That's how you also will be able to comment. But if you hit the alert for all alerts, you'll be able to get notified when we go live and have streams like this one, including the Britney stream and a lot more coming. But we're getting a lot more into breaking news and pop culture news. So I appreciate all you guys who've discovered us here at Popcorn Planet. Grateful to have you guys here. So Christine just sent a chat as well. Thank you, Christine. His backpack is the same one. His backpack is the same than the one on the van. Is it the same one in the van? Because that would be telling. If it is the same backpack, then that changes my opinion. If somebody has a picture of him in this backpack, please DM it to me over on Twitter. I will go look for it, and we'll put it up there and compare it. But I don't know if I buy that. And we got Steph in the building. Excited to have her. So we have almost 800 votes on that poll, and it's still about a 70% no. They don't think this is him. I'm curious to get Steph's 2 cents on this. Always happy to have Steph, but I'm going to give a warning in advance, guys. She's in the UK. It's late. Her partner is asleep, and so she can't be super loud. And that's why she's going to sound a little ASMR tonight, but I think it sounds sexy, Steph. So, Steph, give us your late night ASMR voice.
Hey up, everyone. How's it going?
Happy to have you here, Steph. Always happy to have you. Steph, the alternate in the building. Happy to have you here to give your insight on this. Do you think this is Brian looking at this? And thanks for your help. She was helping me clip and get the video up. Did we get it up?
It's all ready just for your once over before you.
Okay, as you talk, I'll go look at that quickly. But yeah, what do you think of this? Do you think this is Brian?
Hell no. Yeah.
Definitive.
No, I don't think it is. To be fair, the picture's too grainy. It could literally be anyone, really. There's not enough evidence to suggest that it's Brian. Yes, does he look very similar in terms of height, build, and the rest of the situation? Yes. And I'm sure that the internet sleuths, as we speak, are hunting down, did he have that particular backpack in his videos, you know, and all that lot, because the backpack's quite distinctive in that picture there, so I'm sure the internet sleuths will be on that. But until we have more evidence that links Brian to this picture, I would cautiously say no right now. Wasn't there like rumours that he'd actually fled the country anyway, and stupidly, because there are extradition,
there are rumors. Yeah, there are rumors that he's in Puerto Rico too, which I don't think is that far-fetched, to be perfectly honest.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, if the backpack is the same, that does change things for me a bit. Backpack being the same would be a little strange. However, I don't think this is him. What are your thoughts on all this? As I'm just finalizing this video because I want to get it out there. But Steph, overall, listening to Christopher, who's always wonderful to have here, what is your biggest frustration on this case currently yourself?
That they had a chance to literally grab Brian Laundrie before he ran off. Like, no disrespect, but let's put it this way. Whenever, right, you watch, because I'm a really, really big watcher of, like, investigation channels, real-life murder channels, that kind of thing, and all that lot. Sorry, brain fart. And they always say that if a lass dies or goes missing, first person of interest, no matter what, automatically goes to the partner if she has one, right? If she has a partner, automatically their interest, their focus, their eyeballs go directly to that partner, right? So why here was it so different? Why did he get a free pass? Even though at that point, I appreciate what Christopher Melcher said, which was, well, there was no evidence that a crime had been committed in the first place. All the police knew right at the beginning was that there's a missing person. Okay, I grant that, but still, why is she missing? Again, the automatic usual look, first and foremost, is towards the partner. So why they didn't do that in the first place is beyond me. So yeah, that's really the thing that's jumped out to me the most out of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I share your frustration there. I think, like everybody else, it's a very weird frustration. There's so many mistakes that were made. In fact, I want to go through John Walsh's clip with you, Steph, and everybody in the chat, because he does really open up into a rant that I think he's very spot on. So, all right. So, I'm just making sure this went up. As for the Brian, look, I'm glad people are sending in their clips, of course, but as we do. But I think we need to be careful as press and as internet sleuths to not jump on everything. My goal is here to at least confirm or deny everything for you, to be a place where you can figure out, is this legit or not, and be very clear on the reality of what the footage and things that we're getting is. But in this one, my gut says this isn't him. Now, I'm looking to see if anybody has sent me information of the backpack. If the backpack is his, all right, then I'll adjust my standing a little bit to say, okay, well, that's a little fishy. But as of right now, to nip that one in the bud, I'm not signing up for this being Brian in the shot we have here. But let's get to let's watch John Walsh's clip, because John Walsh's clip is pretty epic. Not everyone loves him, but he's got so much experience in this sort of subject, losing his own family member himself, his son, tragically. He's an expert in sort of these types of cases, and knows what it's like, can guess a little bit more of what it's like for the family than the rest of us. And he's clearly very angry at Brian.
From the beginning,
and the way the police have handled it. So let's watch this together.
From the beginning, this has been a tragedy of errors. Let's go back. I watched that 911 call released yesterday, and I watched the video of the interview by the two cops. 911 operators are overwhelmed, but how that operator didn't get it to those cops, that the people, the wonderful guy that was passing through and saw him, Gabby, and then when they got in the car.
I bleeped that because I was going to do a video. Hit and slap is what he...
How that wasn't relayed to the cops. They did just the opposite. They sheltered him and wrote up in their report that he was the victim. She was. You could see if you look in that video. I've been involved in domestic cases forever. She was scared to death in that video. She was scared to death that they would let her go. And he probably killed her right after that. That was mistake number one. Mistake number two, this dirtbag shows up at his parents' home after 4 years on the road with his fiance's van, but she's not in it. They lived in the house, the Dirty Laundrie's house. That's what I'm calling the family, the Dirty Laundries. And he's there for 10 days, and he never mentions where Gabby is, and never tells her parents who know that they're engaged and going to get married. And so he's got 10 days to scrub the van. He's got 10 days to throw away anything that's in the house. And then she becomes a missing person. And then he lawyers up to this creep Bertolino, this lawyer. I hope he's had his 15 minutes of Johnny Cochran and O.J. Simpson fame, because he's given these family nothing but bad advice. They lawyered up, and they haven't helped the cops one bit. And then on Tuesday, he allegedly takes his car to the swamp to meditate. Why doesn't he go down and help the police and meditate at the police department? So then on Friday, they get a call. Oh, by the way, our son, we thought he was going to hurt himself. He went to the preserve to meditate. We went down to find the car. How the hell did they know where the car was in that 50,000 acre swamp? But we put a note in there, Brian, don't hurt yourself. Come back and we'll help you. So we went and retrieved the car, and then they call on Friday. And you know what? They bought him 4 days to run. He's on the run, but I'm going to profile him on my show on Wednesday night.
Steph, I mean, he's pretty on top of this. What do you think of what he said there?
Facts.
I mean, he's right
Don't
on
know
it.
what else to say. Yeah, he's completely on it. And to be fair, usually, like in the UK, if there's a big, massive cock up like this that has happened, then there would be like a national inquest that would be opened up by the government to look into what went wrong and what lessons can be learned so that these mistakes don't happen again. Do you guys have anything like that in America?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. You're screwed then.
No, America doesn't always have the... we say we do, but there's a lot of stuff we are missing. Like universal health care.
Yeah, that's quite a biggie.
But Yeah, I think he's spot on. He's been trending today because of the statement, and I share his frustration. His frustration is palpable, and I think he's right. And what do you think he will? A person like Brian Laundrie, do you think he will off himself, judging by the sort of profile we're seeing so far?
I have no idea. And I say that because you have people in the world that do that, and it would be like the last thing you'd think they'd ever do. So personally, for me, I don't assume those kinds of things or speculate on those kinds of things. I think, though, that to live is more important than him to go the other way. He seems to have, if we're going to look at it the other way, a very narcissistic approach in terms of his own self-importance. That he's more important. He needs to be on the camera. He needs to have the attention. He's the most important person in the whole wide world. Well, if that's the case, then why would he do in the most important person in the world? That to me wouldn't make sense. So because of the display of narcissism that we have seen up to present in regards to the evidence that's being presented to us, I would actually say that he won't. He won't.
I share that.
Over himself.
I agree. In the chat, I'm curious what you guys think, based on the profile that we've sort of built for him. He just doesn't seem like the type. Again, don't you think he's the type who would just be watching these streams from the phone? Also, just to echo, I did end the poll. 64% of you said no, that photo doesn't look like him. So it started going down. 35% thought yes. That was over 1,000 votes. So a lot of people are still thinking that might be him. But what do you think, Steph?
Yeah, because people have got his name in their mouths. That in that sense, it contributes to the inflation of his ego, to his own self-importance. Look at me, I'm in the news, I'm so important, I'm so current at the moment. And he'll be looking at it from such a skewed perspective. It's untrue, guys, in terms of my speculation on that. But yeah, he'll be watching these streams all day long. Yeah.
I mean, people are asking how we know that. Well, I mean, there's instances where it's like he was very obsessed with her. He didn't want to ever have friends. There was instances of he was just very, with the cops, the way he was laughing. There's just a lot of narcissistic signs that he was sort of shining throughout a lot of the sort of footage and stories we've been told. There was a friend who sort of came in and it was very clear he always wanted Gabby around sort of with him only. Just a lot of this stuff are sort of narcissistic tendencies and traits that sort of pop up to sort of give us that explanation as where I and others are coming from. He also has a very creepy Instagram, which we've never really gone into depth, which we could today. His Instagram is really strange and gives you some more of an insight on the guy. Granted, there's some dark images and stuff. It shouldn't define people. I drew the weirdest images in middle school. My middle school art teacher wanted to call the police on me just for drawing gory hearts because I was a fan of Itchy and Scratchy and The Simpsons. It doesn't always mean you're a crazy sociopath. However, there's definitely a lot of darkness in there. In fact, I may go down there at some point. Good World, I just want to make sure I didn't miss any of these of your support. Thank you guys so much. Good World, hey Andy, hey Steph, YouTubers solved Gabby's story, proved to be more efficient than the police. Prayers to the Petito family. Facts. It's so crazy. In fact, I think I still have the image here. It's right here. We talked about this in depth on the channel, but the fact that this is where that van was discovered, and then here's where her body was discovered. When you look at these two dots, it's shocking to know. Think how big the world is. Zoom out from this image. If they didn't have that pinpoint of where the van was to sort of search this area, which is what they were able to do because they had someone tracked the van at that spot, we never would have known. And if that family hadn't have been taping, my goodness, we would have never known. In fact, here it's a good pivot over to here because a lot of people have been talking about sort of the evidence they're seeing in this video. Well, the channel did release more 4K footage, and so they were able to sort of, or I guess more HD footage, so we're able to zoom into this. I got that FBI tweet. Thank you for saying that.
Oh, okay.
I think you were clipping the video, which is up.
Okay.
We did post that, but thank you. As we're zooming in on this, guys, and Steph, I don't know if you've watched this yourself, but it's very creepy because you really I when I watched it and I reported for you guys, I didn't see it, but it's a lot earlier. So here, this is props again to Nerve Gorilla, who slowed this down and zoomed in and figured all this out. But as we're zooming in, you can see right here, there's a little bit of a sliver. Do you guys see it? Can I go full screen on this? I don't think it will let me. I can go a little bit bigger in this way. You can see a sliver, and as we go through where the arrow is, the sliver closes. And so it's just very creepy of someone clearly hearing a car coming as the door to the van slowly shuts as it gets closer and closer to the van. There it goes, see? So yeah, it's just like little details like that the internet is able to go through because of this footage. And so I didn't believe it either, but then it's hard to dispute. And I looked back on my footage, it was a little grainier and you could tell it's real. And that fuzz would have been too hard to recreate. There's no way someone like did this CGI. So yeah, right at that point, and we're zoomed in, mind you, this is all zoomed in. At that point, they must have heard a car coming. Those Winnebagos are pretty loud. So whoever was in that car either saw or heard someone coming. And that's the real footage. There you go. Now you see it regular. And slammed it shut before they got there, which makes this all that more creepy, knowing that someone was in there. And so there's a lot more in there of just some say they see a phone here. I don't see it. Some have said there's 2 sandals. I don't see it. There is the trail here, which is, where someone could have been dragged, which a lot of people are speculating. And then there's what's interesting also is there's a reverse camera footage we're going to look at too. But this was the area that they were going in through. So there's this one sandal. There's talk. It's hard to tell what these items are, but being that this was so close to the crime scene, one wonders: is that Gabby closing the door? Doubtful. Is that him cleaning up afterwards? You'd think if it was a crime scene, there would be some more, blood or something, but that maybe it wasn't, bloody, right? Maybe he wrapped it up. Who knows? We don't know until we get the autopsy results. Like, again, speculation, but. It could have been him sleeping in there. There might not have been anything nefarious at this moment, but given everything we're seeing and the limited clues we have, it obviously created a lot of creepy, shuddery thoughts. He does zoom in here. There's another point I wanted to give you guys. So we can look inside the van. There it is.
It's actually really hard to see. I'll skip just a frame forwards and backwards here. It's way too blurry to tell.
If there's someone in there,
there is something white there, and you could see the bottom of the window. So I didn't think it was somebody hiding on the other side of the van. I actually thought it was a cloud reflection, but actually it turns out, because we have another angle.
Yeah, I didn't even know this existed.
Here. It's at about 8 minutes in this video. There's a front angle of this. There it is. See? Nobody's hiding on the side. Now, let's see what that actually is. All right. It actually looks like a pillow or something. So, I know nobody's going to like me, but I'm not a really superstitious person. I'm pretty scientifically minded. I live in reality. There's nothing in this video that I want to see, that I'm looking to try to see. I just want the facts, I just kind of want to know what really happened, regardless of my opinion. And it looks like pillows strapped to the seat or something, pretty high up, obviously above the steering wheel. But it doesn't seem to be a person. It doesn't seem to be. But there definitely was a person in the back. I don't know if it's Gabby. I don't know if it's Brian as of this point. Maybe we'll learn in the future. I'm guessing it's Gabby just because of the sandals. I don't think that dude wore those sandals. Somebody did post a picture somewhere online having to do with her sandals and them looking like her sandals, so that could very well been her. Witness accounts sounds like they were still alive, or she was still alive at this point. They may have seen her the day after. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of basically all I see in this video. I don't see anything else.
I don't see anything else either except for that. But that van opening, Steph, people are so crazy. I don't know if you're watching when you sent this to me. We're getting so intense. Someone sent me. Where was that image? Here it is. Someone sent me an image, Steph, of this log. Where was it?
Some people thought they actually heard the door close. Let me blast this up.
There was a shot of that log, and someone's.
Do that
I think there's
more time on this damn.
Here it is. I think it's sonogram photos.
I don't see.
I was like, come on, we're getting
still
too crazy.
Those sandals. Anything else really interesting?
There, right there.
One more time on this damn.
Someone sent me an image, and again, I'm not trying to call anyone
really
else out, but this little thing in the corner here, someone thought that kind of looks like a sonogram photo, and I was like, no, we're getting a little too overzealous to think that he delicately planted a sonogram photo on this log that clearly is a sign. That's like some sort of tent, something. Don't park here or whatever. But that's how crazy it gets, Steph. My email box can be pretty wild at times. But hey, I've invited you all, so keep it coming. But to that extent, here are two things that just came in while we were live. Sorry, I was looking. So someone is saying that is the bag. There's the bag. I can't confirm or deny, but there's the people saying it's the same bag.
What? Hang on. Let me have a look.
So
okay, so you've got the black at the bottom.
I don't see the black. I guess that's the black on the bottom. Yeah, okay. It could be.
Yeah, so you got the black at the bottom on the right-hand side there, yeah. Then the black trim, there is a black trim around it that you can see there. We don't know if that's actually the bag or not because it's not the full picture of the bag.
Correct. Hold on, I'm trying to zoom in for you.
But it's all right. I'm still not 100% going to say that that's Brian in that picture.
It's still like
I
mean, it's conveniently closer to the bag than I expected it to be. Now, who knows how easy it is to buy that bag? Is it a common bag in wilderness, travel? You'd think someone by now would have found the link to the bag, and we could see it at the store, to sort of compare in better angles. If anybody can help me, keep sending over the bag things. 100% bag the same, that black trim. Yeah, now people are being more and more sold. That's wild. So anyway, here's Steph to add more to it. Here's the colorized version that someone just sent me. I love you guys. Wow. Keep it coming. So here's a colorized version of it to add to more question marks. I mean, it still doesn't sell me?
No.
Hold on. Sorry, I had a lot of tabs here. Where's the one I was trying to find? So there's that one. Yeah, I'm still not sold. I'm in fact, when I look at this, I'm like, no. You really look at a shot of, he's just a bald guy walking through the woods. Now the backpack is strange, but it could be some sort of hunting bag or a photography bag. It's someone made a liberty on color choice, which is also throwing me off. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not following it like everybody else. Did I just lose it? There it is. But there, guys, too much of a coincidence here. Too much hair, small nose, different face. Everyone's arguing. See, but that's where we're at. This is where we're at. Where we're trying to figure out what the heck does that mean. I wish you would have uploaded more video. Because if you caught this on video, there should be even more frames, which would help us make a better decision. But Steph, does that change your mind at all?
Well, the issue is that the Facebook user that actually uploaded this had uploaded it from a wildlife camera that he was using for deer. Traditionally speaking, those wildlife cameras are not really that good in terms of like quality, pixels, that kind of thing. Well, the ones that I know of anyway, let's put it that way. So even if we had video footage of this or more pictures, I don't think we're going to get better quality in terms of actually then having more of a clearer picture to determine if that is actually Brian or not. I think that's the best that we're going to get. You say that in this picture it's a smaller nose, but again, we can't really determine that for certain because the pixelation and the quality of the picture ain't that great to begin with. So it could be the lack of pixels is distorting his facial features a little bit, which could be true. But But then again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here for that. But again, until someone's able to link that bag to Brian Laundrie in a video or a picture, another picture that's more clear, then I'd be more inclined to say, yes, that is Brian. Until this point, no, the jury's still out for me.
Yeah, it's still out for me too. So we still have a lot more to go through. We need to wait for those autopsy results. Lots more still coming. Oh, sorry. You got to tell me you're not Christopher Melcher. Steph the Alternate is who's here, and please go check out Mods. Can you send a link out to Steph's channel? She does amazing work. She's always hustling. Always love our Steph working hard over there on her channel, where she gives you a lot of cool philosophy, nerdy pop culture theories and stuff. So go show my friend Steph some love if you can. If the chat or Steph can, someone put the link in. Will somebody show Steph some love for me? A couple super chats. We are going to go until about 6-ish. Another 15-20 minutes. I'll be hanging with you guys. But then I'm going to have to duck out. We some stuff I need to do here. But keep the comments and questions coming. We have a few more topics to go through. But I did miss a few. I want to make sure I didn't miss it. Christina Maddox, thank you, Christina, for supporting the stream. Did you fully read FBI Denver's post fully? The coroner says his initial determination right now for the manner of death is homicide. Is there a new? I didn't see that in the one I saw, so thank you for reminding me. Let's look here. Here it is again. Oh,
I sent you
there it is.
Updated.
Okay, good. Remains those. Coroner determination is of homicide. Okay, there we go. All right, so there it is. With cause of death is pending. So thank you for calling that out. Yeah, I don't know how I missed the word, but that is a big reveal. FBI's commitment to find whoever's involved. He's still a person of interest. So yeah, it's interesting. Wish I'd seen that while Christopher's here. I have questions for him. Yeah, how is he still a person of interest for F's sake? I'm confused myself. Again, but like Christopher said earlier, guys, if you missed it, and thank you for making me so much coming in, Christina, and I'm live with 3 things, but I appreciate you helping me point that out because that's important. But yeah, as Christopher said, Steph, and everybody watching, we have to be careful. There may be a reason he's not doing that just because they want to, keep their cards close to the vest. There may be real justifications as to why they don't want to tell everything. So we'll see. But there you go. That's It's at least confirming what we've all suspected, that yes, it is a homicide. Now,
I wonder if by saying publicly that he's only a person of interest, that they're doing that in the sense of, you're only a person of interest, come on in, instead of and making it more inviting to come back, rather than turning around and saying, no, we've got an arrest warrant, we want Brian Laundrie. That would make him run away further. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible now. At the same time, the FBI, I trust them a little bit more than I do the Northport police. So I'm hoping there is a plan here. It could be possible. We got to hope and pray that there is a plan here, and that obviously the goal is to find Brian. It's, again, just frustrating they didn't just somebody follow him. It seemed like there was enough here that I just feel like Northport never really took this seriously. And to be fair, this case has blown up beyond regular missing persons cases. There are so many of these missing person cases. I really do think this one's gone viral, if you will, just because of the amount of social media involvement and people just are able to sort of dig deeper and get their own theories and go through the old videos. That's really what made this, I think, a popular case. A case has to become popular and take over the world for everyone to get invested. Sadly, I'm getting so many stories that I want to cover. It's just hard to cover everything because there are so many missing people. And the sad reality is now, with so many resources spent on this case, they're not looking for other people as well, right? We're looking for Brian right now because we didn't stupidly follow him at the beginning, which we could have done to save those resources and put them towards another case. So it's a headache when you really think about it all. But hopefully we'll get more intel soon. Let me just make sure I get through these chats. If you have any other questions, use the pinned comment and send them over. Thanks to everybody who supported. You can also just super chat if it's easier. Gold Star Squirtle, look at the sideburns in both pics. They are almost exact. Also go back to when they zoomed in on the front windshield of the van. There is a scared girl's face in the passenger side. No, there was not, Gold Star. What? He was watching it in slow-mo. You trying to jump scare me? I don't believe that. That would be all over the internet too, Gold Star. I didn't see that. I was looking very closely. That would be terrifying. If someone take a screenshot, Squirtle, go back to the stream, go back, take a screenshot, and email it to me. Because if you break that news, that'll be pretty massive news for us all to report on. Because that would be very telling. So let me know, Gold Soul. You can always rewind, go back to where you saw it, take a screen cap, and email it to me, popcornplanet@gmail, or DM me on social media. Cynthia, but the other part you said about the sideburns, I still don't see it. To me, the sideburns aren't the same. To me, as I look at these, like. Granted, it's the level of hair. He's bald on top and his beard's longer there. Right there, his hair's longer, which is weird since he's bald. And I don't see the same thing. It looks like he's shaved his beard, which is weird. When would he have trimmed the beard? It doesn't look like his facial. It looks like his head is tighter. It's not as long. When you look at his head, his head's got that big back. There's like a length, a width is the word I'm trying to find, to his head. That I just don't see here. It looks more, narrower. So I hear you guys, and so you guys have your own theories, but I don't see it. Cynthia, shoot. Thank you, Cynthia. The reverse look at the van is what is believed to be a pillow sitting on the seat. Actually looks like the backpack that matches the photo of allegedly Brian Laundrie in the trail. Now that I might believe. That's possible, that the backpack in there. Was there a good shot of it, Cynthia? We can go back and look really quick. Aaron Town, thank you so much. Please look at the backpack in the van again. There are no black straps, just the steering wheel. Quite enough to see the back door closing and Brian's face peeking out between the passenger headrest and the side window. All right, so we have a lot of people saying, check the video again. Oh my God, Brian's backpack is what is in the front seat of Gabby's van. That is Brian on the deer cam. All right, so everyone's saying it. We're going to go back. I didn't see it. Where was it? I still don't see it. But chat.
Play just kind of slow.
Even he's watching and didn't see it. All right, so we go back.
There's nothing in this video that I want to see that I'm...
Is this the scared girl's face you think you're seeing? Hold on, let's make this bigger. Like that? Is that what he's trying to claim as a scared girl's face? Oh, sorry, you guys don't see it. There we go. Now you guys can see it. So here's the backpack in question. And this is the six... Look, that face... I don't see it there. It's like we're looking at a cloud with all the things here of like what we're looking for, stuff that I feel like we're looking for. Let's go back.
All right. It actually looks like a pillow or something.
It's a backpack. I agree there.
So I know nobody's going to like me.
What's also frustrating is it's black and white. This could have been a yellow backpack for all we know, guys. Our minds are tricking us because we want to see what we want to see. There's no confirmation of what color this is. Just because it's a black and white photo doesn't mean that the backpack was black and white. So keep that in mind as well. Sorry. Where was it? There it is.
But I'm not a really superstitious person. I'm pretty scientifically minded. I live in reality. There's nothing in this video that I want to see, that I'm looking to try to see. I just want the facts. I just kind of want to know.
It does look like a similar backpack. But again, like I'm telling you, how do you know it's the color? How do you know what color is in that black and white photo? It could be a gray backpack. It could be a light blue backpack. Granted, the shape is questionable, and if it is black and white...
It looks like pillows strapped to the seat or something, pretty high up, obviously above the steering wheel. But it doesn't seem to be a person. It doesn't seem to be... But there definitely was a person in the back. I don't know if it's Gabby. I don't know if it's Brian as of this point. Maybe we'll learn in the future. I'm guessing it's Gabby just because of the sandals. I don't think that dude wore those sandals. Somebody did post a picture somewhere online.
Dude, he took the sandals fell as he's hiding the body. Obviously, that's a very possible situation. Don't you agree, Steph?
Yes.
The lone sandal there to me screams of something bad happening. I think he's wrong on that one. Totally wrong on that one.
But having to do with her sandals and them looking like her sandals, so that could very well been her. Witness accounts sounds like they were still alive, or she was still alive at this point. They may have seen her the day after. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of basically all I see in this video. All right, it actually looks like a frame by frame of it. So
I don't see.
I know nobody's gonna like me, but I'm not a really superstitious person. I'm pretty scientifically minded. I live in reality. There's nothing in this.
I live in a reality. I don't see any faces in there, guys. If somebody sees it, screen cap it, because there's so many shadows and things happening here. Now I do see what you're talking about, the backpack, but that could be a duffel bag. That could be. I don't see an exact replica. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Yes, it's close if the bag's black and white, but I do think there's a little bit of us looking a little bit too much into it. What do you think, Steph?
Can I go back to my earlier statement? Does it look similar? Yes, but it is a. We're not seeing the full situation there, the full item there that we suspect is the backpack. It could be anything, technically speaking. It could be a pillow. It could be a duffel bag. So it needs to be fully in view for us to fully determine if it is that same backpack or not.
Yeah. So I don't see the face, but I do hear you guys and seeing something that seems to look like this backpack. It's definitely a square, mostly white, but this isn't as white. There's a lot of black on the side here and the bottoms. I can't tell what's on the top of it, but even like seeing the picture again, I don't know, guys. Again, it could be pink, right? Who knows? There's definitely a black square with some black lining along it. So here it is. Well, I don't think we're gonna solve solve it here, but it's clearly something. But again, it could be the back of it that we don't see. But it's hard to tell what's under his arm. But I wish someone could tell us what kind of backpack that was so we could look that up more clearly. But there you go, as have looked at it very, very, very closely. All right, there are a couple more chats that came in. I want to make sure I read. Thank you guys for supporting as we get to this. And make sure I get all your emails, as a lot of you are sending me information as we're live. I appreciate it. Where were we? Please. So, Aaron, thank you, Iron. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, or Aaron. Leonard, thank you so much for the chat. Oh my God, it's his backpack in the front seat. That is Brian on the deer cam. Leonard, I hear you. I'm not telling you wrong, but I can't confirm it. Michelle, waterfall. The footage that you show from the back shows the front of the van, same bag as the pack. Thank you again, Michelle. We just went through that. It does seem like it could be the same. I see a lot of you guys are excited about that. YouTube 225. He is oh wow, you can send a YouTube link when you super chat. 225. He is wearing the same scandals. Now if I open it, what's going to happen there? Where do I go? Can I click that? Sorry, hold on. Where's that? I'm trying to click on that super chat with the link. Can you click it, Steph?
Let me have a look.
Hold on. I want to click it in my stream elements because that might mess me up. I can't link. For some reason, it's not letting me link.
I can't find it.
It went away. Hold on, I have it here. Sorry, bear with me. I want to get his comment. Stream elements. There we go. Log in. I can get it here. 1 second. I want to watch what he says. Wearing similar sandals. Okay, let's see if this is true. I do my best gaming. Okay, got it. Open it. There we go.
Whilst we're waiting, I just want to say to everyone, thank you to everyone that's subscribed to my channel so far. I've just been seeing my subscribers numbers rocket up a little bit, so I just want to give out a heartfelt thank you to Andy and everyone that's watching, that's rocked on over to my little channel. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send we'll go there and look at it a second before we wrap, but thanks, you've already are doing it. But I don't see the sandal here. 220. I don't see the sandal. He's wearing the sandal? Oh, wait, hold on. Let's slow this footage down. You can do this on YouTube. Playback speed. Let's make it 225. So let's go to. Okay, it's coming. It's coming. But you said she was wearing the sandals. He is wearing similar sandals. Okay, that was the comment. There. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. There. That's yes. Interesting too.
Yes.
Now that's more interesting to me because that does actually prove he has similar sandals. So there you go, guys. That's what we do here. Yeah. So there you go. He had the same sandals. It could have just been his sandal. We're all it proves, Steph, this one issue, which is we're all visualizing and trying to create our own version of things, which you got to be careful of. because it looks like he had similar sandals too. That footage isn't the best to stare at. It's hard to tell what color things are and everything else. So the reality is, a lot of us are definitely putting some of our own insight in there. Yeah, it makes more sense for it to be his sandal. Let's be honest. We want to vilify him and make him the bad guy for good reason, but it doesn't mean that the worst versions of things are true. It makes more sense for it to be his sandal, and now seeing one of his sandals, I'm more inclined to think that. What do you think, Steph?
Yeah. That and that goes to my point earlier on. We can speculate all day long if in the front of that van that's the same backpack as what's in the picture, but the thing is we're not seeing what's fully in that van because it's covered up a little bit. There we saw it. It's the same freaking sandal as far as I'm concerned. We saw the full sandals on his feet. We saw the same sandal right outside that van. Yeah, that I can say. I would be happy to say, yeah, that's the same.
Crazy. All right. So Steph, while we're also here, as we have a few, I'm going to be here for a few more minutes, but I want to make sure you get to plug because you work your butt off. And as a friend of mine, I love when people can support my friends. That's what we try to do here. Steph, tell them about Steph. You're the alter nerd in the channel you have there.
Yeah, so my channel is all about the alternative. I may spout out opinions that may not be of, let's say, the usual mainstream, but you're going to get it anyway, 100 from me. I have a couple of series that I'm very proud of. The first one is Alter Philosophy series. I'm going to have a video released quite shortly, actually, which is an Alter Philosophy episode on Zelda Ocarina of Time. It's my favourite game ever. So you're going to have that on Thursday for the Alter Reality series. I'm doing the top 10 conspiracy theories on James Bond, and guys, I went down a rabbit hole on that one, and that's freaking nuts. On Sundays, I also have Alter News, where I discuss the alternative news on the internet, the wacky, weird, and wonderful news articles that we can find on the internet. So it can get pretty wild on a Sunday. And sometimes on a Saturday, depending. I do watch parties as well. So yeah,
lots to catch out. Go check out and support my friend Steph. Always glad to have her. She stays up late. She's whispering on purpose just because it's so late, but she always comes, supports the channel. And she's also instrumental in everything we do here on Popcorn Planet, helping me behind the scenes a lot. And she's helpful. I do want to take an opportunity, since a lot of you are watching, and a lot of people get frustrated that I don't talk movies anymore. I love movies. I've covered movies so much in my days, from Screen Junkies and Honest Trailers and all the stuff I've created. But I'm going back to the movies with a new show I'm doing over on my channel. Oh, where did I go? Went the wrong place. On Movie World. If you go to my new channel, Movie World, you can watch my new show. It's called Back to the Movies, Top 10 Reasons to Stream. We're revisiting In the Line of Fire. I'd be grateful if you guys go check out the new channel I have there and the new video. I'll put a link there as well. I'm excited to go back and talk about movies and do more. So for those of you guys who want to show some support and where I'm going there, I appreciate it. Now, there's tons more to cover on this case. We will obviously keep you updated on this case. It's a sad day. I try not to. It's so tough, Steph. It's like there's so much to report, and we're so much on the hunt for Brian. It's hard to forget that we lost someone today. It's confirmed, and so I want to make sure we really take a moment for Gabby and her family. I can't even imagine. It fuels me, though, to want to get justice for her. What happened to her wasn't right. It's awful, and we got to do our part to spread the word. And as the FBI and everyone has even said, it was the press, or the family said rather, it was the press that really helped to get this solved, or at least found for now. And I think it's going to be our job to help get this solved as well. As frustrating as it may seem for some, as we're slowing down and zooming into footage and things, it really is what's helping to break this case and do it, because it's just more manpower, right? It's more people and more eyeballs that are investing in this story to try and figure out what happened. So I'm grateful to all of you guys who've discovered this channel, but also all you out there who have been doing the work to get the word out on this case to help us find Brian Dirty Laundrie. And sending so much support and love and positivity to Gabby's family right now through everything they're going through. Whatever we can do for them, we should. And right now, what I'm going to do best is try to keep this story going to make sure we can find Brian and keep you guys in the loop on the news and anything else we discover. If anybody who's watching has information about this story or anything, you can reach me out pretty easily. My DMs are open on Instagram and Twitter. Those are the best places to find me. Most of my links have a link tree. If you guys don't use that, it's a good way to sort of put all your links in one place, but you can sort of support, obviously, in a lot of ways there. But my social links and stuff are there as well. You can follow me. Twitter and Instagram is the best place to send me. You can also just email me at popcornplanet. Don't forget, it's popcorned, not popcorn. Popcorned with an ED there at the end. Popcorn Planet was taken. Popcornedplanet at Gmail. What did you call it? We had a couple. We're working on a couple phrases, Steph. What was one of the ones you said? We're just here with the live news. Breaking down. You said something good the other day. You've forgotten already.
Oh, my message from earlier on.
Yes.
Oh, I said something along the lines of.
I put her on the spot.
I can't remember. Yeah, you definitely put me on the spot.
I was scrolling up. I couldn't find it in time. But what we do is we try to cover breaking news, pop culture news, and give you an honest take on it all. No spin here. Just the facts and our takes on things. So we will continue to bring that to you. And again, I do want to...
I've got it.
Oh, there it is.
Popcorned Planet, breaking down the news. Grab your popcorn.
There you go. So here, and we will be absolutely covering this. Brittany deserves her freedom, and we will be covering this in much depth with Christopher Melcher, attorney. So if you haven't clicked the remind me or hit the like button on there, you can join us next Wednesday as we're live at the Beverly Hills Courthouse supporting Brittany. So hit remind me or set reminder. It's right here. I can show you. If you hit set reminder, it sets a reminder. Now the reminder's on. We will be covering that in depth. We've been covering that story. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. We've been covering that in depth, and we still will continue to cover that story as well as Justice for Johnny Depp and a lot more. And I'm going to be looking for some more stories like this to make sure we can spotlight missing people as needed, because a lot of people need help out there, and I want to make sure we can get the word out. So all you who are watching, thank you so much. I think we got have B's father's boat been confirmed? They haven't moved. Have Brian's father's boat confirmed that it wasn't moved? Can you clarify? B is not a survivalist. He is a camper. Yeah, I mean, he's an outdoorsy guy. It's true. He's not. I don't know if he's a survivalist or, doomsday prepper. But it does seem he likes to go out and camp a lot and live within in nature. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard that story about his boat. I would hope they would have looked at his boat. That said, the Northport Police has not looked into it as much depth as I wish they would. But it's a good question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. Before we go, I want to do, there was that question. I knew I was going to do it, and I want to make sure we did. Here we go. The 27 minute mark. There was a question of, he said, you can have her. All right, let's see this again.
Small, 20, what is she? She's a 22-year-old blonde hair who I jail. You could definitely defend yourself against, but at the same time, we can't say because you're a male and she's a female, we can't treat this different than if you were the male hitting her.
This is when they're sort of propping him up and making him be happy. Like, yeah, you're the victim here, dude. Ha ha. And he's just loving it. He's loving it. It's sickening how much he's loving it. It's very telling how much he's loving it, but he's loving it nonetheless. But there's a quote we're looking for. Did he say, I should get rid of her? Is what the question is, what we're looking for, Steph.
You got treated the same. Yeah, no. So she's kind of in a tough spot. So unless you have an idea about how she could not go to jail and be separated, do you have friends in town? Somewhere she could stay. Tomorrow, if you want to, it's up to you. You can go to jail. You can't because we don't have a charge for you. Now tomorrow, if you wanted to, you could get with her again tomorrow. I'm gonna take your radio. If you wanted to.
Oh my God, that part sickens me. I'll take your video. I didn't do anything wrong.
If you want to be with her again tomorrow, because it's after 5, so office is closed, so you can go to the police department and fill out a waiver to drop the no contact order so you guys can still be together. Which is going to have a court date online. She's going to have to show up for a court date online and answer. The prosecutor might drop it. They might say,
I've watched this depth. I don't remember him saying it. I clipped this.
I was going to say, it definitely is. I'm not going to pursue anything. It's about fiance. I love her. It's possible. I'm sorry that I had to get so public. So I just want to get like the checklist of things I got to do to get rid of it. So there's an online court date. Well, she'll get a paper with a court date.
I think it's before that.
Unfortunately, in the state of Utah, No contact order. You do have injury, and both an independent witness, probably the next one we're going to talk to as well, which we haven't talked to yet, but the one we did talk to, and your own companion have.
We've watched it. Yeah, sadly, the part you gave me.
Made it clear that she was the primary aggressor, and that she was striking you, and you just received injuries. You haven't admitted to striking her. She has not admitted to striking her. The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. That even if you didn't want to pursue.
He does say, haha, rad. Did he say, oh, rad, Steph, when they're acknowledging? So you're the victim here of DV. And he goes, haha, rad. Ugh. I didn't know. He doesn't say I should get rid of her, but he does go, haha, rad.
Strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. That even if you didn't want to pursue this, we don't have a choice. The best thing we can do to not. The law says we have to charge her. It doesn't say we have to put her in jail. Okay? But it also says we have to separate her.
Response
what was
to
that?
being called you a victim. Haha, rad. That's not normal response.
Agreed.
Contact order, and we have to put her in jail if we cannot separate. And the little problem here is you guys are out of Florida living in the bed together. How are we supposed to separate you guys? Now, I don't want to take this small 20, what is she?
Yes, a 22-year-old
female in jail.
jail.
You could definitely defend yourself against, but at the same time, we can't say because you're a male, she's a female.
Okay. I mean, I don't hear this line, but I've heard enough to verify once again what we sort of already knew, which is that he's a scumbag. And sorry, Aaron, I didn't find the exact clip, but I do want to make sure I went back and did that as I said I would. And I don't hear the clip. Maybe if you want to DM it to me, the exact time frame, I will look on it. But whew, nasty. So nasty. Nothing rad about either way. If it's happening to you or not, there's no reason why you would say rad. You say that when you realize, oh, I'm not caught. You know, it's like, oh, you guys are on my side. Haha. Oh, cool. For once, right? that bitch. That's what it feels like to me, Steph. Just an awful guy. Meanwhile, she's in the car losing it, and he's, yeah, I know, right? Bitches be bitches, right, guys? Yeah. It's sickening to watch it now, and it frustrates me.
To me, it's indicative of, I'm getting away with it. Oh, rad, I'm the victim. Yeah, I'm getting away with it. And he's posturing and joking around with the police. It's as if he feels, in my speculation here, that he has a superiority over the situation, that he feels that he's the master manipulator, that he can even manipulate the police into thinking that he is the victim. A narcissistic approach being that he is highly intelligent and is able to manipulate situations as to how he wants it to be. It's his world, it's his game, and everyone else is just his puppets, and yeah.
Yes, another reason, again, his narcissism showing up, and why I feel like he's the type of guy who probably would be home quietly watching and going and giggling to his own footage, and why he wouldn't. And also, I think he's a coward. He's completely a coward, and that's another reason why I don't think he'll be able to off himself. We'll see. But it'll be the most tragic situation, and I hope this isn't what happens, is that he does that and we get no answers. And then we get to know nothing. This guy we need justice and know what happened. And at this point now, he needs to be called into question. Now, the sad reality is his lawyer is going to still make him plead the fifth. So he's going to keep looking more and more guilty, but he doesn't have to admit to anything. They're going to have to prove it was him. And will they be able to do that? If this is the case, we got a lot more to cover, lots more to happen. So, did he ask the cop if he filmed it? The cops are filming because of the body cam. That's just they're recording everything. But he does say that one line, which is the most sickening to me. Of, well, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm gonna take that video. I mean, it's so gross stuff. It's like so obvious to me that when I first saw it, I thought, oh, this girl's. I did fall for it a little bit. Like, oh, okay, this girl's losing it. She's emotional, and he's finally like someone's like giving him a break. But when you then uncover more to it, and you see, and you really, because a lot of the video isn't really with her, it's more with him, and it's more with the officers sort of talking about what the witnesses said, and so it all sort of seems like they were doing their job properly. But the more you realize, I think the lesson from this is there needs to be more training, and we need to be more careful of when a woman or a man is sitting there crying, hyperventilating in a car, and having trouble. There's probably more to the story than they're telling you. It's just probably the reality. And the confident guy who's out there saying everything, probably, again, look a little bit more into it. maybe take a call and say, what did the 911 call say specifically? You know, those are the types of things that I think would have helped this case and would have potentially saved her. While who knows? Maybe it wouldn't have. Maybe if they had even separated, they still would have gone back together, and you never know what would have happened. But it's tragic, the fact that we now have confirmed the loss of Gabby, and now the hunt for Brian continues, and we will continue to find that. Suzanne, thank you so much for becoming a member. Again, stuff like that helps this channel tremendously, so we can give you this coverage and be unafraid of saying words like abuse and slap and punch. I'm telling you guys, YouTube is such a brutal platform. They let the mainstream outlets say whatever they want, and then for us independent creators that are trying our best to get the word out to you and get it to you and get it out there, we get limited our videos. It's not about, a lot of people be out there trying to hate and say it's about monetization. No, I mean, of course, every reporter needs to make a living. We need to do our, get paid to do our job, but it's more about getting the story out there. That's really why we do our job, is so you guys can get the story. And YouTube wouldn't let me say that. We're live, so I sort of was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. And thanks to everybody who supported tonight. So when we're live, we can get a little bit more uncensored. But it's really terrifying when you realize you can't even talk about the abuse and say the word slap or hit, with YouTube saying, sorry, as sponsors won't approve this video. So the video is fine, it's public, but of course, do you think YouTube's going to promote the videos that don't have ads on it? They don't. And unless you're a mainstream outlet, YouTube sort of puts you into two different tiers. So again, I give you that backstory because your support, it really does help. Whether it's me or any other creators you're watching, if you can tip them in the jar, it always helps us tremendously. And joining does that. So all of you who joined tonight, thank you so much for your support. It just helps us have sort of a guaranteed amount of support that we know we can rely on. And your support through the links and Linktree and everything else helps us a lot. So thank you for helping us get the word out. Share the videos as you see them. When you see more videos, click them. Hopefully comment, help the algorithm. And again, smash the like button. Steph, thank you for being in the chat there, helping us to get there. We had a lot of people liking the video. How much did we get close? We should have had more. We had 5,000 people watching.
1.5.
So we got to 1.5. But always, when you're on a video, if you like it, engage with it. Leave comments, leave a like, all that jazz. Steph, always amazing to have you here. I'm so glad you got some love here tonight as well. She's such an important part of this channel and just a friend. So thank you guys who've supported Steph the Alternator. Go find her on YouTube. The links have been shared around. We will be back. We won't be live tonight. I did it live earlier, but we'll be back live Thursday for our regular streams. Usually live around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but if there's really breaking news and I can go a little earlier, I will, because we get a little bit more eyeballs, because I know a lot of you are still asleep that late. So thanks to all of you who found us. So grateful to have you here. We will keep you updated. Drew Skizzy, I know we're late, but you can go back and watch the stream. I'll leave this full stream up tonight so you guys can do the replay, but we will not be live tonight. So spread the word to the Popcorn Planeteers in the community. We went live a little earlier tonight. But thank you guys again so much for watching. And again, my heart goes out to Gabby's family right now. I'm sure there's nothing we can say, but we can keep reporting is what we can do. And we can remember this woman we lost way too soon, and we can continue our hunt for Brian to find out what happened and ask the questions that we need to know. So thanks to all of you who tuned in tonight and watched. Appreciate it so much. We'll be back with more coverage soon, and as the autopsy results come, you bet your butt we'll be here to cover it. Oh, and I know a lot of Britney fans are out there. Guys, get ready. This is pretty big news, and they're playing the audio tape of her call, but they just revealed the title of her new Netflix documentary. The trailer drops tomorrow. Britney versus Spears. This is another tragic story we've been covering. It looks like we're on the positive end, but to all of you who are helping me through that stream as well, we are not done covering Britney. Don't you worry. We'll be back, and we'll be live on the 29th covering her stream. Tomorrow, you bet your butt, I'll be doing a reaction to this live reaction trailer because this Netflix, I know a lot of people are involved in this Netflix documentary. We should finally get some really interesting insight about what was going on. So again, thanks to all of you guys who've been supporting this channel. Steph, everybody, stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Planet. And to Jen, you got your shirt? Yeah, I'm wearing my shirt too.